All right. Hey, I hope you can hear me well. So thanks for waiting. All right. Good morning, good afternoon to all the APJC Dell Digital team members. Welcome to our first ever virtual people rally. And this is a sessions that we're going to have a speaker series. My name is TS. I'm from the infrastructure organization. I will be your host today. Now, I hopefully so far you've been enjoying all the series events since the kickoff last week. So today we will have Dr. Leslie Choudhury, right, that is coming to share with us on the Change to Win topic. Just a little bit of brief introduction. He is the author for the bestseller book series called Once Upon a Time. And if you go and Google him, he's ranked the number 6 communication guru in the world. Yeah, so it's very fortunate and it's our privilege to have Dr. Leslie Choudhury to be with us today. And not only externally, internally, we have a lot of our colleagues in APJC have attended his sessions in a lot of the different countries. He has been a trainer and a speaker for the last 12 years together with us. And a lot of experience from the people. They are describing him as an edutainer, right? First time I heard about this word, right? It's someone that can both educate you while entertaining you throughout this process, and we all is going to witness, how he did that, right? And if you see him on the screen, you can already see how colorful he is, right? So, unfortunately, I may not be able to match. I'm on the Dell color, so hopefully he can bring the all the various colorful content to us today. Now, the topic today, as I mentioned before, is going to change the wind. Is going to be very in tune and line with our digital transformation journey in Dell, as all of us experienced through in the last couple of years. Let's learn from him on how we can continuously. It's about continuity, it's about consistency, right? To drive the change, to win the culture, change to win culture for our continuous transformation success for both Dell Digital and the Dell businesses. Now, I'm sure that throughout the session, you have questions for him. Please use the question mark button on the right-hand side to ask question, and then Leslie will be able to answer your question at the end of the sharing, right? Now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together and welcome Dr. Leslie Choudhury. All right, Leslie, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, TS. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Dell is one of my favorite all-time clients, and I use Dell. So let me talk about the topic that we've got in front of us, which is change to win. Change to win. When I say change to win, I am talking about innovation. I'm talking about innovating to improve. I am talking about innovating to continue the success that Dell has enjoyed. I am talking about innovating to be more efficient, and I am talking about innovating to be relevant today. It is important for us to be relevant to our customers, both external and internal. And this whole topic of change to win is about innovation, and it's about that continual need to transform in order for us to be totally relevant, efficient, and successful. 97% of all CEOs think that innovation is a top priority, and yet 53% of them don't believe that their company has a strong innovation plan. Everyone wants innovation to happen. Really? I don't think so. In Roman civilization, they realized that when you put two horses side by side, comfortably, side by side, they actually occupy 4 feet, 8.5 inches in width. And that is what started the innovation with regards to Roman transportation. So the first transportation was the carriage, and that carriage became 4 feet, 8.5 inches in width. Now, they went on to try and transport people in larger carriages, but the width never changed. From wheel to wheel, it was 4 feet, 8.5 inches wide. And from then, it went into trains. And the trains, the width of the train track was 4 feet, 8.5 inches wide. Now, it didn't matter whether it was in Europe, in the US, or in Asia. It all ended up 4 feet, 8.5 inches wide till today. So we are a little bit more dependent on past decisions than we'd like to think. Fact is, 4.5 inches right back from Roman days till now has not changed. All because that was the width of 2 horses together. Now that makes us think about how dependent we are upon past decisions. In 1973, the people within Xerox invented personal computing. They brought it up to the leadership in Xerox, and it was ignored. It was ignored. In 1990, Smith Corona, who was the top in typewriters, the people within the company invented the laptop, and they thought it was a competition to the typewriter, and that idea was ignored. Ignored. Nokia was the leader in mobile telephones. It had 1 billion customers. And in Forbes magazine, it said, can anyone catch the cell phone king? Complacency set in. Where is Nokia today? Motorola came into the scene, took over. But with technology changing, the people within Motorola said they don't see anything revolutionary in the technology, and they ignored the trends. Where are they today? BlackBerry, as a company, had a 50% market share of the US business cell phone market and a 20% global share of the cell phone market, business cell phone market. But they ignored the trends. Where are they today? Kodak, we all know the story on Kodak. The fact is, change is never easy, but not changing is terminal, detrimental. In 1958, I'd like to share this story with you. In 1958, Ferruccio met Enzo Ferrari, and he became a customer of Enzo Ferrari, who produced Ferrari cars. But when he got his Ferrari and was driving his Ferrari, he found that the clutch system wasn't right. So he went to Enzo Ferrari and he said to Enzo, Enzo, I have a solution for you. I can solve your clutch problem. But Enzo Ferrari said to him, you a sticker to making a tractors, I'll make the cars. You may be able to drive a tractor, but not a Ferrari. So he rejected customer feedback. He rejected customer feedback. Unfortunately, Ferruccio's last name is Lamborghini. And Ferruccio, with that rejection and insult from being a customer, went to becoming a competitor. And it is Ferrari's biggest competitor today. All right? biggest competitor today. In fact, they are 2% away from taking over market leadership. All because they were ignored. Feedback was ignored. Customer was not heard. In 1998, this man said, "What do you do?" His answer was, "I sell books." But he reinvented himself. He reinvented himself. He realized he needed to innovate as a person and as a business, and he reinvented himself. And Jeffrey Bezos became an internet entrepreneur, best known as the CEO of Amazon. His net worth is $178.2 billion as of this year. Jeffrey Bezos understood that when you change what you do, you eventually change what you are. So in 1998, he said, "I sell books." In 2017, he said, "I sell whatever I want." He changed. He saw the need and he changed. He transformed. He reinvented. He re-innovated the business that he was doing. Jack Ma, a person that everyone knows, the chairman of Alibaba Group, net worth of $48.1 billion. He continually tried. His ideas was rejected, his applications were rejected, but he continued to keep trying. And today, he is a total success. So my encouragement to all of Dell's staff is keep coming up with the ideas. Keep coming up and sharing those ideas. If they're rejected, don't be discouraged. Keep trying. Keep trying. In 2006, Yahoo made an offer of $1 billion. And then at the time to make that offer good and in writing, they changed that to $850 million, and it was rejected. They could have owned Facebook, which gives a revenue of $70 billion a year, all because they did not realize the potential. They did not realize the potential, and they were rejected. Walt Disney was hired by a newspaper, and they actually rejected his ideas, and they told him he lacked imagination and he had no good ideas. Well, we all know the history of Walt Disney. He went into the film business, the movie business, TV business, the resort business, the timeshare business, the entertainment business. Today, Disney's net worth exceeds $175 billion. His own personal net worth, if he was alive today, would be more than $40 billion. Exide could have owned Google, but they rejected the opportunity of owning Google. They rejected it. They saw it as something that wasn't necessary. Some of you may know my cousin, Mukesh Ambani, who said, "Dance to your own music. Take some risk in life, because it is often the risk taker who changes the course of history." Now, Mukesh Ambani is a billionaire. He is the largest shareholder of Reliance Industries, all right, a Fortune 500 company, India's most valuable company by market share, and his own personal net worth is $77.3 billion. His message, in short, differentiate and change. And by the way, all Indians are cousins. You can't spell challenge without change. Any challenge that we face today requires us to change. Any change that we undertake will help us to meet up with that challenge. Now, in Japanese, there is a word called kaizen, and it means continuous improvement, made from two words, kai, which means change, and zen, which means good. Now, let me just share a very short story. There was a man named Kaito-san who inherited the business of a 3-generation family business of sashimi, a sashimi restaurant. This sashimi restaurant was vertically integrated, meaning it caught the fish that it served in the restaurant. And when he took over the business, Kaito-san, when he took over the business, he realized that the business was going down. And as he went out to find out why, he found out that other sashimi restaurants were serving more fresher sashimi. So he started to look into it, and he went into it and found out that their method was, when they caught the fish in the sea, they immediately cut up the fish on board the ship, on board the boat, and then put it on ice and brought it back into the restaurant. And so he thought one of the ways of improving was to keep the fish alive. So he built aquariums on board the boats. Now, when he put the fish into the aquarium and brought it back, it was fresher, but it still wasn't that fresh. And they found out why. It was because the fish, being in the tank or the aquarium, didn't really move much. And this affected its freshness. So what he did was he shared this, and one of the chefs in the sashimi restaurant said, "Why don't you put in a small shark?" And so they did. Because of the presence of this small shark, the fish had to constantly move to stay alive. And because of that one simple introduction, they became known as having the freshest sashimi in Japan, and the business improved. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, what do I or my team have to change to improve? What do I or DELL have to adopt, adapt to grow, to improve? That is the question we need to ask. Jack Ma was famous for saying adopt and change before any major trends or changes. Adopt and change. David Beckham, somebody that is well known, he went from Manchester United to Real Madrid. He went from Real Madrid to the US. And while he was in the US, in the down periods, he played for PSG in Paris, and he played for Inter Milan in Italy. So he was constantly changing, not just his hairstyles, he was changing and reinventing himself, staying relevant, standing out in today's evolving world in order to be consistently successful. And he was. Even in his latter days as a football player, because of his presence, because of his innovation, because of the persona that he had created, he was the most successful person in terms of advertising dollars to all footballers. Every single footballer could not compare to what he earned in terms of advertising dollars. Change. Michael Dell said, the point is, you can't keep doing the same thing and expect it to keep working. So, to summarize what he's saying, change to win, innovate to stay relevant, change to win. Peter Drucker came up with this famous saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Now, strategy is critical. It is critical. But what is even more critical to strategy is the culture that you cultivate in Dell, an innovation culture. An innovation culture is what that is needed. You see, every company, including Dell, will have a company culture, whether you want it or not. So if you're going to have a company culture, then you've got to make sure that that company culture is an innovation culture. How do we encourage an innovation culture? Well, the way we encourage it is, first and foremost, leadership of Dell needs to be open to new ideas. Staff need to understand that they want new ideas, and they need to be rewarded in order to encourage new ideas. As a team, Dell needs to look at trends and opportunities as a team, because if you can see the trend, you can see the opportunity, you can take advantage of it. And you need to embrace diversity and differentiation. If we can do this, then we can build an innovation culture at Dell, an innovation culture at Dell, where everyone is firing on all cylinders. Everyone is firing on all cylinders. Ms. Jen Felch attended a summit this year on April 17th, which was entitled Make Innovation Real by Modernizing IT. I believe the reason she attended it is she believes this concept, that innovation, all right, can become the thriving and the cutting edge and by modernizing IT, we will get ahead of the competition. We will get ahead of the competition. So if we infuse innovation in the DNA of Dell, we create this culture. We create that culture where everyone has innovation on their mind. Everyone must come to work in Dell with a solution mindset, not with knowing the problems. We all know the problems. We all can see problems. What we must come up with, how do we solve those problems? How do we solve a trend? How do we solve an opportunity? How do we come in with a solution mindset? The best part of that is ideas are contagious. Ideas are contagious. So a well-rewarded innovation program encourages more ideas. The more we reward, the more ideas we have. The more ideas we have, all right, the greater the opportunities are for us to innovate. Eric Schmidt said, let 1,000 flowers bloom. And I say, let 1,000 ideas be created here in Dell. Now, employees often have ideas, but they don't know how to channel them. So this is where leadership comes in. Leadership has got to create the opportunity for employees to suggest ideas, because you will never know when one particular idea will unlock the next $1 billion revenue stream for Dell. Now, there are many companies that are powered by employee ideas. Google, Toyota, Zara, Zappos, P&G, Ritz-Carlton, but 3M stands head and shoulders out of all these companies because 51% of their revenue streams are created by what is on the R&D table today. Next year's 51% of the revenue is created by what is on the R&D table today. And those R&D ideas are all employee ideas. So in Dell, what I would like to see and what I think would be your ticket to success, continued success and innovation is first and foremost is to develop listening. Listening to your customer, listening to leadership, and listening to staff. If we develop these 3 levels, we will understand what we need to do. Michael Dell said it's customers that made Dell great in the first place. And if we're smart enough and quick enough to listen to customer needs, we'll succeed. We'll succeed. So the second part is passion. Passion. When you come to work, don't come to work without being passionate. Passion is a feeling you feel when you feel you're going to feel, a feeling that you've never felt before, a love for coming to work, a love for doing what you're doing. Be passionate. Michael Dell says passion should be the fire that drives your life's work. Passion should be the fire that drives your life's work. So listen, passion, and then engage your customers, engage your staff, engage your leadership, explore the ideas, and envision what you're going to do. Now, the Quran and the Bible has the same verse that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. So having a vision is fundamental to your success, and engaging and exploring that vision is the steps we need to do. Again, I quote Michael Dell, and it says, it is through curiosity and looking at opportunities in new ways that we've always mapped out our path in Dell. There is always an opportunity to make a difference. Always an opportunity to make a difference. And the last D there is to do it. To go out there and deliver, to differentiate your product. So if we listen, if we do it with passion, if we engage customers, leadership, and staff, and we deliver, we will be on our route of creating this culture. I'd like to end with what Jen Phelps said. As we drive our strategy from the perspective of customer experience and operational excellence, customer experience, customers, operational excellence, both leadership and staff giving feedback, I am confident we will have the right people, processes, and technology to level up our digital transformation and improve the way we work. Improve the way we work. Now, Elon Musk is another billionaire. Now, you all know him as the CEO, or the person that invented Telstar, a person that invented X-Space. He was asked this one question: what is it that will make us successful? And his statement was, you need to work. You need to work like hell. That was his statement. I don't necessarily agree with Elon Musk, but I believe firmly that if we take into account the Dell, if we take into account, all right, listening to our customers, to our leadership, to our staff, if we take into account love or passion, if we take into account engaging, exploring, envisioning, if we take into account delivering, then the key, because of this innovation culture, is actually to work like Dell. Thank you very much. TS?
Hey, thanks, Leslie. Hey. So we have a 5 minutes of the Q&A. Let's see what are the questions that the folks has. In fact, there's a lot of comments about they love your session. It was very interesting. In fact, they said that they love your jackets, by the way. That's a colorful part of it, right? So, yeah. And thanks, Leslie, right? I think a lot of your stories, examples of what you shared today is very relevant for us, because although that, Dell Digital, or in Dell, we have always been innovating, but it's all about how do we want to continue to evolve and keep the fire running, right? So it's not just about 1 or 2 years, but how are we going to get that to be more sustainable? So probably one of the questions that you can help us is, from your outside in view to us, is about rewarding, right? So you mentioned about rewarding great ideas from the employees, listen to them, as well as listening from the customer. How do we, have a variety of options of rewarding as an idea for Dell to consider, right? So if there's anything that you can share.
Well, this is something that the leadership of Dell really has to come up with. But I can give you an example. In part of my career, I worked for Westin Hotels. And in Westin Hotels, we had an idea reward system. If any staff, it didn't matter who the staff was, came up with an idea that was implemented and that succeeded, that staff would be given a reward. Now, they came up with a variety of rewards. They came up with cash rewards. They came up with material rewards. They came up with a whole bunch of different things. But the most interesting thing was, we had 2,000 staff at the Westin Stamford and Westin Plaza. And 2,000 staff. And when this reward ideas concept was generated, it generated more than 10,000 ideas. 10,000 ideas. And out of that 10,000 ideas, even though they only implemented 10 ideas, they gave rewards to about 1,000 people that generated ideas. Those 10 ideas that they implemented became million-dollar ideas. So I want to encourage the leadership of Dell to look into how you can reward ideas. And reward doesn't necessarily mean money. rewards can be done in a whole variety of ways. I'll give you another idea that in the company that I worked with in developing their culture. Culture creation is a specialty that I work with on corporate companies. And this idea was a day as a boss. They rewarded somebody that came up with a novel idea to have a full day working as a boss. And that meant the full experience of being in that boss's chair or right next to the boss, being involved in every discussion, every element. And what they found is that made that employee feel so significant, and his progress from that day forth became extra unreal. I mean, it became really, really phenomenal. So there can be a lot of different ideas, but I want to encourage the leadership to brainstorm and come up with rewarding ideas.
Sure, thanks, Leslie. And it has to do also about how do we drive this idea, rewarding idea, into the culture we already have, right? So thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Now, I pick up another question. I believe it will be a very relevant one, right? Especially right now, we are in the business condition, we are in a COVID situation, right? How do we get investment to continue the innovation during difficult times, right? I think it's very relevant to a lot of the companies, also equally within Dell, right? So if you can share your views.
The interesting thing is this. I think Dell is ahead of the game, and I'm not saying that because I'm speaking for you guys, but I think Dell is ahead of the game in that you've already, before the trend, created the opportunity for staff to be able to work from home. So the home working scenario was something that you all created years ago, before COVID, before a forced scenario happened onto every other company. So you are ahead of the game in that you know that staff can work from home. Now, the only difficulty that comes into play is the manufacturing portion of that, but it does not affect the idea generation. It does not affect the finessing of ideas. It does not affect discussions. It does not affect putting into place new revenue streams, new things that will enable you to go forward. It does not affect you in terms of even getting new clientele per se. So what we have to do is take off this situation of being restricted, but saying, all right, with this restriction, what can we focus on? What can we concentrate on that will give us the maximum benefit? And if we harness our strengths, harness our ideas, we will come up with some gems. And that's what I believe we need to do.
And you're absolutely right? So with the past investment that we have in the innovation and all that, we'll be able to get ahead, when we have this COVID situation, we move almost close to 90% of the workforce work from home, giving various solutions for the business to continue. And the innovation movement, even on the software development, they'll be able to continue to develop the new software, new ideas from home, almost not interrupted. So I think it's about continuous investment on any other organization, whether good times or bad times, is to go to the future, right? So I think Dell definitely is on the right trajectory. And thanks for your inputs. There's more question, but I think in the interest of time, so I will wrap up here, right? So, and Leslie, right? I mean, I know that if I give you 2 hours, you will share even more fantastic stories with us. But I think with the 45 minutes you shared with us, is a lot of great examples on various organizations, whether in the past until now or various culture out there. Is definitely give us additional thoughts on our Dell digital transformation journey. All right, we believe that we're already doing well, but we need more ideas. How do we sustain a culture, kind of keep the fire running in the longer term, right? So I really appreciate your time, and if you have any closure notes for us.
I don't, but it has been a pleasure. I just want to encourage everyone, the listening to customers, the listening to leadership, the listening to staff, focus on that. It is the start of great things to come. And it's been a pleasure and an honor. Go Dell.
Thanks, Leslie. Thanks to all the Dell Digital team members in APJC attending this session with us. All right, with that, thank you, folks. See you again.